Hi guys, welcome back. I'm just recording this on my phone. I've just watched the England-South Africa game, South Africa-England game I should say. Just want to get the video done straight away. So sorry it's a little bit jerky on the phone, but it was just a crazy game, mental game. Crazy score. South Africa just edge it at the end, which is kind of what we predicted, saying South Africa just had the advantage being at home, but the game was just mental. There was... at the beginning, England absolutely blitzed it. Their attack was awesome. In fact, the point is, England's attack was fine. Throughout the whole game, England's attack was fine. Okay? They scored good tries, they created, they showed what they could do on front foot ball. Then for the majority of the game, South Africa completely dominated that game. Faf de Klerk and all the foreign guys, the foreign-based players that came back in made a huge difference. Vermeulen was fantastic. Faf de Klerk just made an electric pace on that game. And part of their game plan in attack was to get that ball wide to Willie le Roux, and he just created havoc. And England were decimated, absolutely decimated by that. England's big downfalls in the breakdown, again, very sloppy. Couldn't really get near South Africa's ball, couldn't slow it up at all. And what we saw was Eddie Jones get angry. He made one of his angry substitutions by hoiking off Ezekwe because the ruck wasn't good enough. They were just not getting any ball, and he brought on Brad Shields, which I think was actually a bit of a mistake really, because they had no second row cover. So straight away you've got Brad Shields, who's supposed to be the next six, coming on at second row. He did fine, but didn't make a huge difference, to be honest. I think that was a rash decision there. Billy was struggling the whole game with fitness. When Nathan Hughes came on, he looked sharp. It's just a problem when you were carrying Billy for fitness, then you take off your only second row, bring on a back row in the second row. Don't think that helped, actually, but that was one of his angry substitutions, like when he hoiked off Luther Burrell all those years ago, because he didn't like what he saw. And England just didn't touch the ball. South Africa were fantastic. They got so much pace in their back line, and they had so much possession. They just ripped England apart. England's fatal flaw is their defensive lineup. So Paul Gustard, who is going, possibly rightly so, is a fatal flaw depending on England's backline setup. Now, England have no defensive monsters in their backline. None in their midfield whatsoever. None in their squad whatsoever. So England's defence is a big rush defence, quite narrow. And all South Africa were doing is moving it very nicely out to Willie le Roux, and he was just burning on the outside or getting outside the press and just killing us. And we never changed it. I've heard rumours that Eddie Jones was really annoyed with Gustard's defence after the Six Nations, and he's not going to be happy now because it was too easy. England need to defend wider with drift because they've got small, skillful, quick backs. They've got no defensive monsters whatsoever. Their defensive line is not set up to accommodate that fact. They're not accepting it at all. England aren't set up to defend because in the back line, these are small guys. They need to either keep South Africa pinned in their half, which they couldn't do because of their defensive system, or retain possession. So like I said, in attack, England look fine. Ford looks good in attack. Slade looks good in attack. Farrell looks good in attack. But Farrell's a 10 playing 12. Slade's a ball playing 13. You've got no alternatives there. You're not set up to defend. Daly did some really good things and some really poor things. I couldn't believe what he did when he completely dived over the ball in the dead ball zone. All he had to do was touch it down for a 22. I have no idea what he was trying to scoop it up for. It was just madness. I thought Mako actually played quite a good game. Atoje made some errors, but then did some good stuff, and that's what he does, unfortunately. If he cut out those silly things, he'd be a great player, but he still did some silly things. So we saw the big positives of England and the massive fatal flaws of England. So I'm kind of glad they didn't win because it would have covered over those fatal flaws. So back to South Africa. Thought they were great. They were completely blitzed in that first 15, to be fair. England were right on it, and they kept possession, go forward ball, and cut South Africa apart with their skillful backline and interplay. Brilliant. Then when South Africa started keeping the ball, They were getting over the gain line. England weren't stopping them. Faf de Klerk wiped the floor with Ben Youngs so quick. What a difference that made. In some ways, South Africa have sold themselves out a bit, I suppose, by saying we'll select overseas players. But they're going to have to, because there's no way they could have carried on performing like they have done over the past 2 years. And what a difference it made. Faf de Klerk, Willie Leroux, Dwayne Vermeulen, probably the 3 best players on the park, all players who wouldn't have played under the old regime. So fair play. So I think it's set up quite nicely. England know what they need to do. They need to change their defensive system, but they're not going to, so that worries me. So I would favour South Africa for the series. Can England change up their backline to make them defensively harder? No, there's nobody there who is different. Bringing Piers Francis, the same. Bringing Lazowski, the same. England have to play a possession-based game to win, to play to their strengths. They look like they were struggling. It's at high altitude. There's the home advantage again, so that's a reason why myself and Alex said South Africa had the edge. This is another little reason. But South Africa were good value for the win because they dominated the majority of the game. England were great in attack, fatally flawed in defence. Please let us know what you think. We'll probably come back with a more static standard video for the other games. I haven't managed to watch, apart from the highlights, the other games. Ireland just getting pipped by Australia. Australia probably good for the win there. But there we go. I will be back with those other videos soon. Comment below what you thought about England, what you thought about South Africa, if you think I'm being too harsh, or if I think that actually if England won this game, it still papers over the cracks that this is a team that is not anywhere near capable of winning a World Cup because of their fatal flaws at the breakdown, defensive lineup in the back line. Cool. Until next time, I will see you then.